And joining me today is Kathy Anderson, author of Vamoose Stories. Vamoose Stories is a vibrant, fast paced collection blending humor, heart, and literacy depth. These interconnected short stories center women who claim their own narratives and shape their own futures. Part literary fiction, part queer celebration, and part darkly comic exploration of modern womanhood. The collection explores loss, reinvention, and the unexpected freedoms that come from letting go. Across shifting moments of change, the stories feature surprising love, resilience, and emotional clarity, often delivered with sharp wit and insight. Before becoming a full time writer, Kathy Anderson worked for more than 25 years as a librarian in small town public libraries. She's received many accolades for her work, but she's also been longlisted for the Story Prize, which the New York Times says recognizes the best story collection to be published each year. Welcome to the show, Kathy. Nice to have you on.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
Great to have you. And you know what? It's kind of exciting, not very exciting, I should say, for me, because I am launching a series of episodes which are dedicated or focused on older women. And I know that's something that sort of emerged from your writing, older women. And in your case, particularly older lesbian women. So I want to talk about that older women and older lesbian women, older straight women, how that, the older woman topic has affected your writing and your publishing. So, okay.
Well, it is obviously one of my favorite themes to explore as I myself am entering into my older years. I just turned 70, and this book is written over about 10 years. So, I found myself really thinking about aging and really like looking around more and hearing stories and trying to figure out what kind of changes are going to happen in my life and how do I handle them. So, one thing that, was clear to me is that what we often see depicted in, media or in fiction is doesn't didn't match up with what I was seeing in real life. So in real life, a lot of the women that are older women were really very, having a wonderful, fun time a lot of the time. And I didn't see a lot of that depicted. I saw a lot of a lot of women having lives full of pleasure, lives full of fulfillment. And I kind of started to get very delighted when I would think of a character that I could explore that aspect in. The other thing that became clear to me is that once lesbians get to about 30, it feels like they kind of become very invisible again in fiction and in popular
So
entertainment.
30 for lesbians, it's over.
It feels like that from time to time because I
Okay.
really, I struggle to find much about that. And if they are depicted, it's only in relationship to their marriage or their sexual life or so on. So I really had a craving to make, again, um, characters that resembled more women I knew in real life.
And so let's get back to that because why do you, because, it's over at 30. If you're a lesbian woman, where does that come from? I want to explore that. Like like what happens? Like
Well,
nobody takes you seriously. You become considered unattractive, all of those things. What?
I don't really know for sure, but I will say, most women, older women, have that feeling often, and again, laugh about it a lot, how invisible we are
Yeah.
in daily interactions and so on. And maybe because of all of the usual forces in society that glorify youth, that think, it's a fascinating topic when somebody's 20, 30, but maybe not so glamorous when someone's 50. I don't really know. I
Yeah.
just found it a reality to me. And I thought it was really, just a fun exploration to say, well, there's this type of lesbian, and how would she be living? What would she be faced with? And how is that very human in all parts of the humanness? For example, the title story in Vamoose is the story of a lifelong platonic friendship between two lesbian women. So they start out very young, and they're start out in the activist part of the library world. They're lesbian librarians. And then as time goes on, they become elder queer women. But all that time, they are lifelong friends. Lovers come and go, the friendship endures. So I found that a fascinating topic to explore. And I have not seen that in fiction or on screen. Friendship.
Yeah, friendship, but not
Mhm.
that kind of friendship that
Right.
that evolves into something else, right?
That
Uh,
everything in our lives is not only defined by our sexual identity. It's a big part, but just like any human being, we have lots of parts to us.
but I think for women in general, ageism and sexism come into play as we age. I think uh, ageism in perhaps men, uh, it doesn't come into play in the same way it does for women.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's been very clearly documented and shown. And I think that, most women find ways to deal with it. And one of the things I always try to point to and include, because it feels, again, very genuine to me, is how important humor is in dealing with a lot of things that we can't change. But we can, activate that humor superpower to get through a lot of things. And we do.
Yeah, I think humor is key. Absolutely. Somehow, I think there's a view that as you get older, you're humorless. It's not funny anymore. It always has to be serious. There are those expectations for the way you're supposed to behave as you age, as women age, which is you saying you're fine, that in your exploring your characters, not true. All of these things that they've said about us as we age. Yeah, humor is definitely one of the good things. You also talk about, or you've discussed, navigating the literary world as a queer writer. Now, talk to us about that.
Well, I define myself as a literary fiction writer.
Okay.
So that's one little universe within writing community. Um, but I think that publishing, again, I think it's fairly accepted that publishing feels it's easier to market if you fit into very specific categories. And so all of my books, even though they have center queer characters, they're not that gay. They're really human, and I think there's a little bit of a tightrope that you walk there. Do I only want to be known and published by queer publishers? No, because the fact is, many people who discover my books and get in touch about them, what they're responding to is the human, universal part of it. I remember once I published a story about a bunch of middle-aged single lesbians running around Philadelphia having fun, kind of as a dating pack, but not dating each other necessarily, just out and about in the city. And, a older man in another country wrote and said, "I'm a straight old man, old guy, and I love this story so much. I totally related to it, and I wanted to hang out with them," you know?
Yeah.
So it was, like, very proving to me that, if something is genuine, it can reach a lot of different people.
Yeah. The humanity of book, the stories affect all of us, right? Wherever you come with you. Is that what I mean,
Yes, and
your
people.
work is appealing to everyone. Um,
Yes, and I don't
yeah.
think and people in any life, in any time, fit into neat categories. I think we all know that. So it's more reflective of, real life that, we're not in little boxes.
But they try to put us in little boxes.
Yes.
They, whoever they are, right? I mean, you're
Well,
always fighting those little boxes, and I feel as I'm aging, I'm fighting those little boxes even more and more.
absolutely. The
Yeah,
one word, if you said to me, "What is one word that sums up the women in this book?" I would say subversive. And what I mean by that is they subvert your expectation of what an older woman will say, do, look like, act like. And to me, that is really fun.
How do you feel? Because I've been at this is one part of my research, but uh, uh, when women, when and well, it could be anyone, but refer to you as sweetie, dearie, my love. I can think of a whole lot of others, but that's enough. You know, how they call me sweetie, they call me young lady. I am
Oh,
definitely and not a young lady. I find that, yeah. So, what's your response to those kinds of when people talk refer to you that way?
what a great question. I find myself quickly evaluating. I try to take it from the source. So, in other words, if I feel it's meant kindly, it's just a mannerism of that person, and not meant to be patronizing or infantilizing, I can take it okay. Especially if I'm on a crowded bus and someone gets up and says, "Here's a seat." So, try to take it, from the source.
Yeah, you do have to take it from the source, and I think that I do that. It's interesting you mentioned on the subway getting up for you.
Mhm.
I'm my response is, why are you getting up for? Do I look that old that you have to get up for me? I don't say that
Yeah.
naturally, but yeah, but I find it. I, I sometimes say something, and other times I don't. But I was in a getting in bagels in New York, and I went to put in my order, and the younger, probably 30 something woman said to me, "Honey, can I help you?" And sweet, she called me honey and sweetie, and I did my order, and I'm waiting for my order, and I watch as she's talking to other younger women and men. I never hear her say that.
Mhm. I'll tell you the one place I really react and dislike it intensely is anything to do with medical. I feel it's incredibly unprofessional and stereotyping, when a medical professional uses, those kind of terms.
Yeah. I feel it's demeaning. I want to get that out there, and it's disrespectful. And somehow getting older and having so much experience um, somehow doesn't seem to count. It's not, eh, people don't look at you in that way, that you look at this person. They've had so much experience in whatever the situation is.
I think that's really true, and that what became really important to me in the writing of this book is that I wanted to show women with their own power. So these are all people in charge of their own show, not only responding to other people. It's more the driver people that are driving women that are driving their own destinies, and kind of get away from that powerless presentation. And also, life can be hard for everyone. It's not only older women that's, suffer divorce or death or depression. So that is something to, really bring up to the surface and look at. Why is it that that's all we get?
Everybody gets that. You're right.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that, and yes. Now, you worked, okay, you were a librarian for 25 years, 25-year career as a librarian. What did you learn from all that? I mean, you're
Well,
talking to people, you're talking to old ones and young ones, and, straight and gay and everything else, right?
yeah, absolutely. When I got out of college, and I did not want to go to graduate school for writing, I already was a writer, but I thought, how am I going to make a living? And I was fortunate enough to grow up in a library family. We often went to the public library. It was just part of our life on a regular basis. So, when I had that thought, you should go to graduate school and become a librarian. And that's found it was really the perfect career for a writer, because it's not just about being surrounded by books. That's probably the least of it, as a matter of fact. But we all come into, out of our families and out of school with just the limited life experience that we have, right? So now you're in a public setting and you're meeting people from every walk of life, from every part of the world in a public library. And they're not just, casual interactions. They're often something that person really needs help with. And that's my job, to listen to where they're coming from and get them what they need: information, books, resources. So I feel like it expanded my world hugely in a way that I could have never experienced if I was just in a more sheltered environment. I think it's a fantastic job. I think it's the most wonderful place on earth, the public library. So I feel very grateful that I got to do that while becoming a writer,
I
growing
think
my
it's in,
skills.
it's interesting because you're talking about all the people that you come in contact with, but also people are want your help in terms of where to find the books that they want. And some people are embarrassed about the books that they're looking for.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have to be, I'm assuming, understanding and as a librarian, you have, right? I mean, there's a whole
Yes.
connect.
Um,
Yeah,
we often, and if you're able to be out at work, which I was, it was a small town I always worked in. I worked in several different small towns, so that's a setting in itself. So the staff, all knowing that I was a lesbian, would, if something came up and somebody was reluctant to kind of be too open about what they needed,
they
whether
pointed
for
to you.
themselves, well, they said, go upstairs and ask for Kathy.
Uh-huh.
So then when they would come up and be like, is Kathy here? I would
Uh-huh.
walk them to the back of the reference room
Mhm.
and hear the story of what they needed. Sometimes it was a wife whose husband just had come out to her and they wanted to work together to tell their children in a positive way. And they needed some books on a certain age level, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yes, it was very amazing job in many ways for that.
Also, libraries have become recently, or maybe within, should I say, the past 5 or 10 years, um, sort of communities where people can gather. They've expanded many of these larger libraries in some of the bigger cities have huge community gathering places for old people and young people and single people and offer a lot of different kinds of opportunities and to connect with one another in the
Abs
community.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always been there, and some libraries have done it more than others over many, many years. However, right now, it's a very exciting time because people are able to spread the word about what they're finding at the library. So, there's almost like this huge PR movement from users of libraries themselves because maybe we're just discovering everything the library has to offer. They get on Instagram or they get on TikTok and they say, "Look at this, go get a free library card." And, people really are getting it now. So it's wonderful.
No, that's great. I wanted to buy some books. This is not the library, but at the bookstore, Barnes and Noble, buying a birthday present for my granddaughter. And I got to the table. I don't know if you had a table like this in your library, but there was a whole table of banned books.
Mhm.
So I bought a whole
Yes.
bunch of them just because I bought her Charlotte's Web, which is a banned book, believe it or not. And there were several others, but I decided I was going to buy as many as I could afford in the banned book section. Now, this is New York. I don't know if they do that in different, it depends on what city.
Yes, they definitely, the American Library Association has for many, many years really led the charge against book banning and keeping books accessible for everyone, everywhere. So it is an annual, I wouldn't say celebration, but it's an annual calling attention to this subject. And it's very good to shine a light and lift the curtain on what people are attempting to ban. Often those are not successful bans, but it's still really good to know this is what is being targeted so that you can stand up for them.
Well, is this only in the blue states or are the red
No,
states doing? No.
it's a
Yeah.
library tenet of our
Okay.
profession. And that is, I'm not saying it's not debated and it's not fought over, but our founding principles, the guiding principles that public libraries go by, are open access, and that people are in charge of their own reading. That if you don't like a book, you can't tell everyone else not to read that book. You don't have to read that book. So it's definitely one of the reasons public libraries are so incredibly important to people today.
Why would a book like Charlotte's Web be banned?
Well, if you really want to know,
I
the American
do.
Library Association publishes the list and they give content clues as to what someone attempted to ban it for. And it could be, the reasons can be quite hilarious if you don't share that worldview.
So let's say we wanted that list, right?
Hmm.
Well, how do we get it?
It's real easy to find. The American Library Association has Banned Books Week every year, and they publish a lot of resource book lists around that. So, and they don't change often. The ones that cause people to try to ban them often are on there year after year.
Okay, so that's obviously it's readily available.
Yes.
We've been talking about a lot of things and started off with old people. What about young people? As a librarian and with all this experience, and now obviously you're a writer, a successful writer. What do we do with kids? How do we introduce them to books and the discussions that you and I are having now?
Well, I think there are so many studies, so much research. It's been so proven that if the one thing that's most valuable to give a child a good start in learning in life is to read to them, have books in the home, very limited electronics, and that's the best way to do it. And of course, children learn by example. So if there's a reading time in a household where mom and dad are also reading magazines and books, then it's very normal for kids to understand that that's a way to, process the world and have fun in the world.
Does it make a difference if you're reading your book on your iPhone or your iPad or or
What a
your
good
paper?
question. I don't know. Somebody's probably studied that.
Yeah. And then here's the next one because I'm guilty of this because I like audio stuff, obviously. What about Audible, like listening to books?
Well, I think, again, there's a lot of research showing that people's senses, some people have different senses that dominate. So, in other words, some people can read with their eyes. Some people need to hear things in order to fully appreciate. Some people just like to take a walk with a book in their ear. There's many reasons why. There's many people with visual impairments that only can experience books well audibly. So I think any librarian will tell you any way that you get near a book is a good way.
Okay. And you also, you mentioned it, I guess, like you're in Philadelphia,
Yes.
and I think you once mentioned the weirdness of Philadelphia. Now, I'm in New York, so I'm thinking, what's weird about Philadelphia?
Well, we have our own little language. We have slang words that are pure Philly. Um, we have a lot of incidents people point to for the weirdness. Like there was a robot promotion that was entering different cities, and Philly beat it up. Philly's known for a lot of crazy sports related behaviors, like what did they do? They had Santa Claus on some kind of sports field, and people threw things at Santa Claus because
Oh,
he was
okay.
disrupting the flow. So Philly has its own weird, fun vibe,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people are discovering. It is a special place. It's not like every other city. There's a lot of cities that feel kind of homogenized. Like you could open your eyes and not know where you were. When you're in Philly because number one, it's an old city and it's got a lot of the old still there.
Yeah. It's got both. It's got the weirdness, as you say, and then it's got all our history, or
Yes,
so much of our
absolutely.
history, I should say. But yeah, we only have a few minutes left. So give us websites we can go to, other platforms to go to for more information about your book, about your writing, and yeah, and what you're doing.
My website's a good place to start. It's real easy, kathyandersonwriter.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook and lots of other social media under Kathy Anderson Writer. So that's easy. And on my website, if anybody's like, oh, I might want to read a story, but I don't know if I want to buy a whole book or take out a whole book from the library of hers, I do post links to stories that have already been published. So you might want to dip your feet into the water and just read one story and then see if you like what you are reading.
Oh, so you don't have to commit right away, in other words.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, great. Great having you on the show today. And yeah, I have to have you back because I want to get more into the series about older women and all that entails in different fields. So, uh, Kathy Anderson is the author of the book, Vamoose Stories. And thanks so much. I really appreciate you being on the show today.
It was totally my pleasure. Thanks for
Thank
having me.
Thank you.
I'm Kathryn Zox, your social worker with a microphone, and you're listening to The Kathryn Zox Show.
And joining me this morning is Hilary DeCesar, author of Rewiring the Brain to Break Burnout. After contributing to nearly $1 billion in sales at Oracle, Hilary DeCesar left the corporate world to explore why so many high-performing women still experience burnout and a sense of being stuck. She is now a master's certified neuroscience coach who uses brain-based methods to help women break through what she calls the identity ceiling, the invisible limit that keeps them operating below their full potential. A 3-time international best-selling author, speaker, and identity and energy strategist, she integrates neuroscience, psychology, and more than 25 years of consulting and coaching experience. Her work focuses on helping women move beyond reactive patterns, shift their internal state on demand, and lead with greater clarity and confidence. She's been featured in Forbes, USA Today, and Entrepreneur, and many more. Welcome to the show, Hilary. Nice to have you on this morning.
Kathryn, it's great to be here.
Okay, great. I haven't launched it yet, but I'm really interested, and I know this is part of what you do or what you talk about, is older women. And older women, I don't know if I want to use the word reinventing themselves. Maybe I do. But what happens to us as I'm going to be doing a specific show on older women. So this is perfect to sort of introduce us to the topic on my show. What happens to us as we do the same thing over and over again, get older, maintain the same identity? This is what your book is about, obviously. And we get stuck and we don't seem to be able to reinvent ourselves in our 40s or 50s.
Well, you know what's interesting? We do call it relaunch. And there was a specific reason that I decided to name the company Relaunch, is because I don't think that women, as we age up, and I love what Brene Brown said. She said, midlife is 35 until you die. So let's just let's stay in that category. And I like to say that you're not stuck. You're not lost. You're just frustrated, because there's a real difference there. Frustration means you already know something bigger is possible. And the way I look at it in the book, actually, the title of the book is Relaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life. And the reason that we want to kind of like, have you ever had that feeling of just like, is this all there is? Is this really where my life was going to stop? Is this is this it for me? And that's kind of where I like to step in with Relaunch and say, actually, right now, you're in the next chapter. And when you think about starting over, I don't like to say that any of us are actually starting over. You're starting from everything that you've already survived and built. And we don't want to discredit that, because, I mean, we have the wrinkles, we have the life to prove that we were strong to get us to where we are right now. But
and we're talking about
joy.
Experiences. We don't want to negate those experiences.
You don't.
Those are critical. And I think one of the things, we're evolving. I mean, I think that's another way of putting it as well. But what gets in the way of that? Not just us, but those who surround us begin to label us as, okay, that's what she's done. I don't know about at 30, but, at a certain age, you've done what, and begin to label us as older women who are kind of finished. That's a pretty strong word, but yeah.
They think we're in our last chapter.
Yeah.
I'm here to say, that this is like, it's intermission, everyone out there.
Okay.
And, I always happen to like the second half better than the first of any play or musical. And so I think that this is really our opportunity, that you have to realize that nobody really tells you that your identity is supposed to change. We think this is just who I am. And that's the problem. And that's exactly what Relaunch is here to do. It's kind of, where are you right now in your life? And when did you stop dreaming? When did you stop believing in you? And so we do a lot around where you're going. We call it if you can believe it, we call it the she go.
Okay.
She goes into the future and she is powerful and she is mighty. And we recreate the script. And it was something that we did last week at a retreat we just had. I brought in a famous actress. We call them actors now. And I had her take what we had crafted as our characters, these future identities. And then we sat around as if we were creating the next Oscar winning movie, and everyone got to go through what they had created, and she character built us out. And one thing I want to say, her name is Beth, and what she did, Beth Malone, she said, why don't you add more verbs into it? And it came to life at this table, and people stood up and they said, I am invigorated. I am doing everything that I thought I would do. I am the matriarch of the family. I mean, it was just like, it was incredible. And, I feel, and when you start doing that, because we talk, you hear about, oh, as you said, we all label ourselves. Oh, I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, I'm a wife, I'm, the Mrs. to the Mr. I'm a fill in the blank of whatever job title you're doing right now. And there has been, I did a study where I asked hundreds of women, how many identity masks, these labels do you have for yourself right now? And I did a count up. And I had this, big room, and I said, okay, if you have 1 to 3 that you can label, some hands went up. If you have 3 to 5, and I went all the way up, and I finally was able to stop, Kathryn, at 30. 30. I mean, can you just admit, everybody, that is just exhausting to have that many labels?
All right, so that's not what we want to do, right?
It's not what we want.
Okay, we want to do those. We want to using those verbs. They're very powerful. That's what you're saying, right?
I'm saying that this is like literally when women are like, is it possible I'm having a midlife crisis? I'm like, no, you're just having an identity shift. That's what I want to get through. It's that it's supposed to happen. We're not supposed to say the same. We are energy in motion. We are constantly, if you think about, even the liver changes over the cell composition within 7 years. Every part of your body does. Yeah. So you are not the same person that you were, yet we try to hold on to that image.
Yeah, let's explore that, because I think that is really something that, I know with my friends, colleagues, that's a real issue, trying to hang on to something that doesn't really exist anymore anyway. So, but that's really the big issue, I think, and letting go of that. How do you
letting go?
Letting go.
So can we just talk about a dear friend of mine is Marie Diamond, and she is a feng shui. She was in The Secret, and she said something interesting. When you look at your closet and you start to think about the things that you're keeping, right? The outfits that you keep, the pants, the dresses, the shoes. And it was one of those moments that I thought to myself, okay, I've been through divorce. I've had, I've gone through cancer, melanoma. I've had, the companies that have had massive success, the failures. I looked in my closet and I thought, oh my God, my closet is a direct reflection of everything that I've done, and I haven't given it away. And it's the pair of pants from, when I was thin. It's the, that is where we need to start, everyone. We need to be very honest with ourselves of what we are taking forward into this next adventure we're on. And when you can go through your closet, honestly, and start to be like, yeah, I know I spent a lot of money on that designer outfit, but I actually, and this is a true story, I had a client who went for her 50th birthday, and she decided, she didn't know it was a surprise party her husband was throwing for her. And she's like, God, I haven't worn that Chanel suit in a long time. I'm going to put it on. She wore it. She hated herself in it. Yeah. She spent a lot of money on it. And she walked into the room, and the first thought is not like, oh my God, this is a surprise party for me. It's like, really, I'm wearing this? Let that land.
Let that, you know, I mean, Hillary, that is really one of the best examples that anyone, and I've done just what you said. I actually did that the other day, walked into my closet and threw half of it away. And I don't,
And it's
and
liberating.
it
It
is
feels so
liberating. I
good.
never want to see that dress that, you know, my waist is bigger. Okay. It's not going to get smaller. You know, all of the stuff is sagging, all that stuff, get rid of it. And, and yeah, and you're holding on to the past.
You're holding on.
Yeah.
And so I literally, when I talk to women these days around, you know, what can you do to immediately relaunch now? You can look at your closet, you can look at yourself, and how are you showing up? And I'm just going to use this because it just was a conversation I had yesterday. A woman is newly single. She's finally ready to get out, and Relaunch Love is one of the relaunch relationships, although it's primarily business that I go after, and then your relationship, because you are everything in your life. So your business is a direct reflection of you, your personal life, and all this is a direct reflection. But she said, this is the most interesting thing. She said, okay, so I am ready. Here's what I'm looking for. And honestly, it was more like, here's what I'm not looking for, because that is 80% of what I get is like what I don't want, what I don't want. So I said, okay, let's focus again on what you do want, what you do want. And I said, okay, so in this list, how many of these things that you do want are you actually being? Because one of them was she wants a really great dress. Like the guy needs to be a good dresser, because I guess her last husband was a slob. And he always, like, you know, had food and, you know, ketchup on his shirt and, you know, guacamole and all that. Literally, those were the examples. Actually, and there was mustard. And she said, I just want a really good dresser. And I said, okay, how are you dressing these days? And it was like a mic drop, because she said, actually, I rarely get out of my stretchy sweatpants. I wear this, like, I have a uniform. It's like a black zip up jacket. And I just said, okay, so if you were going out right now and your ideal guy shows up, that's the guy, that's the look, would he find you to be his ideal woman? And it was like, okay, I get it. Because that's the thing, we say we want, but energetically, you're not at that level. You're not doing it. Oh, I really want someone who's really fit and in shape. And you're, you know, still, and hey, no judgment here. You're still loving I'm a chip addict. I love chips in the late afternoon. I don't know why. I like the crunchiness, but you're still eating the chips in the afternoon instead of going out and taking a quick walk around the neighborhood. You're doing things that aren't in alignment with what you're looking for, whether it's business partners, whether it's new opportunities, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, whether it's friendships. I mean, I even get women our age now that are saying, what I really want are really, really good friendships. I want to be able to go out, and it doesn't have to be a trip right now. Although I do get women that are like, I want to go on a vacation with high caliber women that are like really looking at having this next chapter be something incredible. So
but I want to stop you, because I think that's what you said, and I think we have to say it again. You're only going to get those people that you want to be with, or jobs, if you take a look at yourself. Where are you at? Because you can only, it's right. You can only, you
bring in, it's called the law of resonance.
The law, exactly.
And what you resonate at is what you will attract.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, because I work with a lot of 6, 7, 8-figure women, and they're, you know, crushing it in their business, and they're still trying to figure out, you know, how do I literally have it all? And there are many women out there that are, you know, not everyone wants to be 7 figures financially, but we all, when you're pushed to it, want to be 7 figures in our life. We want to have abundance. We want to have joy. We want to have love. And that's where I come in. That's where relaunch comes in. It's like,
So
okay,
relaunch comes in. Why do you think women are? It's difficult for them. We'll talk about women to are unable or are not aware. They don't see themselves as the person who has to go forward, make the change before all this other stuff is going to happen to them. What is it that's holding them back before they see you?
yeah. So I'll tell you, we grew up in what we call this, it literally is this female box that we put ourselves in. It's this idea that we can't do certain things because we have been literally conditioned from when we were young. How many out there can still hear one of your parents saying, you know, you're supposed to be seen and not heard? Don't speak at the table. We don't need to hear, or, you know, why are you interrupting? All these things. And so what do you think that it gave us what we call the good girl code? I have to be a good girl in order for me to be successful, in order for me to be happy, in order for me to fill in the blank. And so what's happened is we've been programmed forever, since we were little, in our families, in society. And it's tough to come out of that because that's the way that we are programmed. And so what we're doing these days is, if you think about like an operating system, and then all of a sudden you say it's time to update your operating system, that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do, because that old operating system is still running in the background. It's still your head, your mind is such a complex system, but you have the ability, we hear, rewire your brain. And that's what we have to start working on. We go out, and a dear friend of mine, John Assaraf, he created what I love, and I got to give him credit for it. He says, we exercise our body, but are you innercising your mind? And that becomes so important. We just kind of like become, you know, mushmallows when we sit there and we're like, oh, you know, this is just the way it is. It drives me nuts when I hear that, because it's not. And everyone thinks, oh God, this is going to be a lot of work. It's not. It's not, because we're not talking about just saying these, you know, affirmations and saying, you know, I am amazing. I have, you know, millions of dollars. I have the best life in the world. But there is something that you can do even before that. And those actually do help, but they don't help on its own. There is something really fast that's called the reticular activating system. And it is in your head right now, just wanting you to say, hey, I'm aware of you. And if you think 11 million bits of information per second are going around you, your brain is taking so much in, but your conscious thinking can only take in 40 to 60 bits of information per second. So we have to direct it to be looking for the right information, the right guy, the right person that's going to come in and help us, you know, with our business, the right offers, all these rights. We got to direct it. So just like you've heard, don't hit the pole, don't hit the pole, don't hit the pole. What do? You hit the pole. I really want that car. I really like that white, name the brand. I really like, and all of a sudden you see it, because you are directing your reticular activating system, your RAS, to notice it. So why aren't we leveraging what we really want in life, focusing on that, being very clear of what we want? And then you start to notice it, because that's just the way the RAS is wired. Then you put your affirmations like, oh my gosh, I see more of this. This is coming into my life. This is, you know, that's when the power of the law of attraction actually can take shape. That's when it works.
Well, I'm going to remember, update your operating system.
Yes.
That really resonates.
Kathryn,
With,
yes.
yeah. That resonates with me, because I think that is so true, and you kind of fight that off. Do we ever have time to kind of relax? I mean, is this going to be a lot of work for us? Or yeah,
Kathryn, that's so good. Here's the thing. I actually encourage people to relax, give yourself the space and the grace to understand and get awareness on what do you really want. Most people have no idea what they really want because we're so busy being busy. We keep going, we keep doing. We have, the squirrel effect. I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. Yes, you can, but should you? Instead, I actually encourage people to take a walk, to sit on the lounge chair. When was the last time you sat? You just like didn't have your to-do list. You just were like, Hillary told me I need to sit here for 15 minutes. There's a freedom there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, I think I've just now understood what summer can mean for me. Imagine if you just did nothing, because that nothingness is freeing you up to think clearer. It's when you're so busy and you're so stressed. That's when you, if you can believe this is something, when I heard it, I just, my chin hit the floor. It's, if you get yourself all stressed, and we're constantly in a state of stress, your thinking brain, your prefrontal cortex, it actually shuts down. You can't think clearly when you're stressed. Crazy.
Does this get back also to that you were talking about the good girl contract? You refer to that.
Yeah.
The busy, busy, busy. You have to say yes to this. You have to say yes, 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 even when you mean no. And then you get into what we've been talking about, not being able to just sit down. But now that we have your permission, we can do that and relax. But yeah, because I think for women particularly, when you're asked to do something and you feel like you have to do it and be the good girl, and that's when you do get into this busy routine.
100%. If you think about when we grew up, if you were not doing anything and people would then say, oh, you're just so lazy. How about the comment when we say, I'm bored, and people are like, oh, we'll go figure out something to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, how great, because you're giving yourself, again, space and grace. You're giving yourself the ability to figure things out, to have things come to you that, like, wow, if I were to say, what do you really want in the next 12 months? What would be like a home run? What would be so incredible? You had the dream at one point, you have this like level of success that you're like, oh, that would be pretty cool. And here's the thing, if we stay in the good girl contract, and if we stay there, and if we don't change the identity, you will literally not be able to change where you are, no matter how much focus you put on it, because your thoughts and your emotions, when you repeat them over and over, which we've done since we were little girls, right? I'm not good enough. I shouldn't speak up. Just, stay over there. You don't need to be a part of this conversation. We repeat those over and over. We have feelings attached to it. That's our identity. It literally equals our identity and our belief system. And when you think about changing and getting out of the good girl contract, you are going up against 40, 50, 60 years of being in this. So we have to reprogram. We have to kind of take a step back. It's a very simple process. That's the best part. Everything in life we try to make so complex. It's a process called 3HQ. We all have it inside of us. Hallelujah. The HQ is your own headquarters. You've got your head, your heart, and your highest self. Those are your 3 H's. Highest self, don't get too caught up in that. It's just the best version of you. It's when you are in your zone, when you're just like, oh my God, this is who I want to be more of. And so when you think about what I said, your thoughts and your emotions repeated over time create your identity. So why can't we change the thoughts? Because we are in control of our thoughts. We're the thinker of our thoughts. And then we can say, my emotions are starting to change. Wow, this is crazy because I'm thinking differently. Different emotions are coming up. And so when you start to create better thoughts and the emotions tied to it, you're already creating your next level identity.
We have 2 minutes left. That's a lot. And that's a lot to think about. But we do want people to buy your book, Rewiring the Brain to Break Burnout.
Well, no, it's Relaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life. I think that what we're talking about there is actually a program that I have. But
yes, that book, program, exactly.
Yeah, but the book is Relaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life. And I also do something where I bring together fabulous like women that are ready to go next level. And it's relaunch to a rich life.com. And it's literally a live event. And I'm on Instagram, Hillary DeCesar. Just DM me. I will send you an invitation, or you can go to relaunch to a rich life live.com and you can check it out.
Fantastic. This was great. Yeah, I am going to be following you. Thank you so much for being on the show. Yeah.
Kathryn, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm excited about your episode coming up.
Thank you.
I'm Kathryn Zox, your social worker with a microphone, and you've been listening to The Kathryn Zox Show.